all are fine. B. Sneha Sharma, your new English teacher, will explain you first chapter of your syllabus, that is How Daddy Was Always Late by Alexander Ruskin. So first of all we will discuss the introduction of writer. Alexander was a Russian writer and a poet. He was born in Belarus and studied at Literary Institute in Moscow. He became famous for his humorous and satirical writing. His famous children's book When Daddy Was a Little Boy contains numerous stories that narrate incidents and adventures from father's childhood as told to his daughter. Next we will discuss introduction of story. So it is an excerpt from Alexander Ruskin's book. Excerpt, a short page taken from book. In the story, the author enumerates about daily life of his childhood days. He comes to school, he plays with his friends, he rarely got to meet or spend time with his father, as he was always late in coming home due to long working hours. Now next we will discuss chapter. When Daddy was little, he went to school just like all other children. All the other children came to school before the bell rang, but the little Daddy was always late. Little Daddy always reached school late for some reason or the other. Daddy's parents couldn't do a thing about it. Every evening the same old story would repeat itself. Means in these lines, poet was talking about his father's childhood, his schooling, that how he went to school. Where other children came to school early, his father was lazy and used to reach late. Same story would happen every day. Next, have you done your homework? Grandma would ask. Wait a second, little Daddy would answer. Stop that reading and start your homework immediately. Grandpa would say. Just one more page, little Daddy would say. Little Daddy would finish the page and start a new one. He just couldn't put down an interesting book to start doing the lessons. Means every time when Grandma asked him to do homework, he ignored. Grandpa also shouted, but little Daddy kept himself busy in reading novels or interesting books. He loved to read these books than his own dull lessons. Just one more page, little Daddy would say. Put that book down, wait a second. Put that book down, wait a second. Finally, Grandpa and Grandma would lose their patience. They would snatch little Daddy's book from him. Grandparents scolded him for reading these books instead of doing his schoolwork. At last, they had to snatch. Next, you will end up a lazy good for nothing, they threatened. Then little Daddy would feel offended. He would begin to weep and demand his book back. He said that he wouldn't start his homework until they gave it back to him. Means they threatened him for his being lazy, useless. He got upset when grandparents snatched his book and asked him to do his work. So he demanded it back always. Next is, and so in the evening would slip away. When little Daddy finally sat down to do his homework, he would fall asleep. He did his homework in a daze. By the time he was through, it would really be late. Grandpa and Grandma would be exhausted. In these lines, poet was talking about his evening schedule. In the evening, when he sat down to do his work, he used to be in confused state because he was lazy. Then he thought grandparents would be tired. In the morning, it was a different story. Get up, Grandma would say. Wait a second, little Daddy would mumble. Get up, Grandma would shout. Wait a second, you are late. Everyone knows how hard it is to get up when you went to bed late the night before. You have all the sweetest dreams in morning, especially if you have to go to school. Means in the morning he used to get up late and again grandparents scolded him for his laziness. Time marched steadily on while little Daddy stretched and yawned. As the time passes, Daddy stretched here means to push out arms. Little Daddy stretched, yawned means to open mouth wide and breathe deeply. Pulled his clothes on means he cleaned himself in a sleepy gesture, and dozed here means started to sleep, and breakfast, and finally managed to get his books together. Then he was out of the house and running to school means these are the symptoms of his being lazy. Next, since little Daddy did his homework at last minute, he never did it well. Since he was always late for school, he often missed the teacher's explanation of new subject. This made it harder for him to understand what the rest of class was doing. Means now poet was talking about his studies. Means he missed teacher's explanation. He couldn't understand lesson properly because of his laziness. Next is little Daddy was always late all his life. He was late for school, late for college, late for work. He lost out on many things in life because of his awful habit. His friends loved to tell funny stories about his being late. Even now, Daddy doesn't know how to walk slowly. He was always in hurry because he was used to being late. At last, poet was telling that his dad was late for school, for college, and for work. He lost many things due to this bad habit, that was laziness. Now he was always in a hurry because he was used to being late. I hope you understand this chapter well. Thank you.